Good day, everybody. Guess I have something to talk about, and I'm not going to really put anything on here unless I have something to talk about. Somebody asked me to dissect and explain what I see with Jorge Prado, and I've been watching Jorge for a long time, since he was about a kid and just coming into the MX2 class. So it's not just one thing of what makes a good rider. It's not just the technique. It's not just the training. It's not anything that way. It's a combination. So we'll start at the beginning. I feel that Jorge was brought up by a very good family. His father is very professional, very calm. I feel that he has a lot of experience in racing himself. So having that, you're going to groom a rider that has good roots, a rider that is patient, a rider that is technical, a rider that is focused, a rider that is disciplined. And again, you can't take away that the God-given talent that Jorge has, because he's been winning since day one. And since you've been winning from day one, yes, you make your progression through the sport much easier than somebody that has a lot of, I would say, ups and downs and injuries and things. But that comes from what he's been doing and how he goes about it. So he's been winning for a long time. And the MX2 class, he pretty much dominated everything and whole shotted about everything. So that is one thing we'll start with, is that his whole shot ability. He wins the first race more than anybody. There's 2 races in every race. From the gate to the first turn is the first race. The second race is from the first turn to the checkered flag. So if you can win the first race, well, you make the second race so much easier. And so he has this ability to get a good start. And I see that one of his things in his technique is that he brings his body back a little bit. And when he lets that clutch out, that upper body comes forward, because you got to think, if I'm sitting in one position here off the start, and I'm on a 450 on a metal grate where I'm going to get a lot of traction, and I'm here and that bike lurches out after I dump that clutch, there's only one way for me to go, boom, backwards. But if you initiate what you're about to do, well, now there is momentum with it, and then you do not have to come back, hit the clutch, turn the throttle off, or make an adjustment. So what he is doing off the start is initiating what he wants, instead of maybe reacting to what he wants because he's stuck in one position. If you can put movement with movement, then you make everything so much more subtle. If you bring staleness with movement, it's usually going to throw you off balance. So that's where I feel that he has in a little bit over somebody else, is just that a little bit of the initiation off the start, and that's all it is, because he's only winning the start by maybe a tire or a handlebar or whatever. But then also, after you whole shot so many races, you start getting very confident with that, and you get very precise with your technique and your approach off the gate. So that's one thing I see. The other thing I see when he's riding is his technique. His technique is flawless. His toes on his toes, his hips are out. He never breaks form, meaning his knees never bend in front of his shoulders. The same thing as you see Jet Lawrence. The knees never bend in front of the shoulders, so he's never breaking form, so it's never going into his arms. On his toes, hips are out, back is straight, and not bending into his knees, where his knees goes in front of his shoulders, meaning breaking form. Then he's always able to keep his arms loose. And as you see, he always has this flowy, surfy, smooth, technical, precise style, same as you see Jet. So to me, those 2 riders have the best techniques on earth, and those are the 2 fastest riders on earth right now, because they're both winning the most important championships. So that is what I see with Jorge, is his technique and his approach to stuff. His approach to things are very, very patient. You never see him ride over his feeling, and that's why he stayed away from a lot of injuries. Same thing with Jet. I don't think you see Jet ride over his feeling much. When you saw him make mistakes, as he was riding outside of his feeling, because he was trying to go fast instead of feeling what fast is. You saw that in Dungey, you see that in Cairoli, you saw that in Jeremy. A lot of great champions, he never rode over what their feeling allowed. So that took them away from riding over their heads or causing things that shouldn't have been. And that created consistency in their career, which allowed them to be there for a long time and allowed them to win championships, because that's the only way to stay in a sport for a while, is be consistently in it. And the only way to win championships is be consistent with your finishes. So that's what I see with Jorge. Another thing I see is that he enjoys it. He really, really, really enjoys what he's doing. He's very passionate about it, and very motivated to be, to be one of the best or the best. So it's not just one thing with any rider; it's a combination. So his upbringing with his family, his technique, his approach, his ability to always ride within his limits, and even if those limits are only third or fourth place, right? Not riding over and causing crashes and getting 10th. And then his ability to love the sport and stay injury free is another big part of it. So that's just my little breakdown. Maybe that makes sense. And but again, you're going to look at the two best riders on earth, and they're doing the same thing, the same technical stance on the motorcycle.